So hello, my name is Caleb and today we're going to be talking about the best sequels ever. Have you ever read a book and you read the first one and you're like, wow, that was pretty good, and then you read the second one and you're like, because it was so good and you didn't expect it because the first book wasn't that spectacular. So I have 7 books to talk about today where I was like punched in the face and I was like, whoa, wait, what? Because it was so good. Let's begin. The first book that I have is actually the 3rd book in this series and it was probably my favorite one. Crest by Marissa Meyer. I loved the Lunar Chronicles when I read them. I read the first book and I was like, wow, that was really fun. Then I read the second one and I was like, oh wow, this is getting pretty good. And then I read this one. This series is fantastic. My love has died down because I read them like 2 or 3 years ago, but they're still fantastic. They're still beautiful. I highly recommend. The next book I have was, I think this one was one of the biggest shocks of all time is when I got to this book and I was just like, Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. When I read The Hunger Games, of course I loved it. It was fantastic. One of my favorites ever. And then I got to this one, I was like, I don't know where we're going. Like, we're gonna have to take down the government, right? And then you get a little bit in and then this huge thing happens and you're like, whoa, wait. And it's fantastic. This is my favorite book in the series. Has anybody not read this? That's my question. The next book I have to talk about is a book I've read more recently, and that is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I read this book back in December, and I remember I read the first book and I was like, oh, okay, this is a really cool fantasy world. I like a lot of these characters. I see where we're going. Then you read the second book, you're like, okay, I know where we're going now. This is gonna be great. And then you read the 3rd book and you're like, oh, frick, whoa, we're doing this now? I'm confused. This is okay, I'm just gonna go along with it. And then you get to this book, and it's like the biggest payoff book ever. Everything was building up, I feel like, to this book. This book, I feel like, could have been the finale. The amount of things that got resolved and wrapped up in this book seemed like it could have been the finale. I remember picking this up and being like, okay, I know where we're going, and then I didn't. These books are low-key problematic though, except like high-key. I think the next book is one that I think we've been waiting to show up on this list. City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. I loved the first 2 books. Then we get to this one. Like, I enjoyed the previous ones. They were fun. They were great. Loved the characters. Loved the story that was going on, but it was a little bit rocky at times. And then I read this book. I went into it being like, okay, people have said this is the best one. We'll see. Boy, the amount of amazingness that happened in this book left me shook. And it was like getting a punch in the face and being like, ha ha ha, you like that? And I was like, yes, please punch me again. And it was so good, and you need to read these books. Please go read them now. Okay, bye. The next book I have is a pretty cliche choice, but it's fine. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. Look at it. Isn't she lovely? We all know how amazing this was. It's a given. Come on. Like, it was so good, and it was so rich and full and amazing, and I loved it, and I love it so much, and I wish I could read it for the first time again, but that's not gonna happen. This book was like finding out that you're getting a free hour in the ball pit. It was so good. I just love it so much. The next book is another book that I think we can expect because I'm trash. Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. Isn't she beautiful? Don't you just love her? Tessa Gray needs to be protected at all costs. This book was amazing. Like, I read the first 2 books, and of course they were some of my favorites of all time, but then we got to this one. Cassandra Clare knows how to end a series. She knows how to tie books together and how to make everything perfect. Like, finales tend to be better because it's like the biggest payoff, like, finally, yes. It's amazing, and I just love it so much, and you need to read it. Okay, are you gonna go read it now? You're gonna go read these? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, bye. The next book I have is a book that I've read quite recently. I think we can all guess if you have been keeping up with me on any social media. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Hi, my name's Farah. It was fantastic. Like, I read the first book. I loved the first book. It was amazing. And then, like, you keep reading, and then 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 you finish, and then you're laying there in 10 blankets just staring blankly at the wall because it was so good. But this book was spectacular, famous. So you need to read these. They're fantastic. Highly, highly recommend. Such a strong series. So these were all my favorite sequels of all time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in my next video. Goodbye! She thick. Look how thick she is. Let's hug them because I love them. Oh, it's just City of Glass. It's okay. It's a paperback.